She put a post up the night before she went out on Snap, and it said, "Time is short." You know, I think we all should take a lot more pictures and stuff and memories and stuff, because you just never know. And just hours later, she was killed.
She had 8 kids, a growing business, a fiancé who adored her, and a smile that could quiet a crowded room. Maya Jennifer Simmons wasn't rich in dollars, but in love, in grit, in faith. She was overflowing. She built a life full of meaning. And then, far too soon, it was taken. Her story reminds us, legacy isn't built in years, it's built in moments. Maya was 30, a mother of 8, a woman whose heart seemed built to hold the world. Her love wasn't something you had to earn. She gave it freely, openly, and in overwhelming abundance. But Maya was never just a mother. She was a visionary, a woman who saw possibility where others saw limits. She made ordinary moments unforgettable. Backyard picnics felt like vacations. Bedtime stories sounded like gospel. She reminded us that resilience can wear lip gloss, and that grace looks a lot like a woman carrying the world on her back and still smiling. Maya's life was full, not in years, but in love, impact, and meaning.
When she walked in the room, it lit up. Because you know what? There's MJ.
She didn't just survive sorrow. She transformed it into light, into legacy, into love that refused to quit. She had just celebrated her 30th birthday in June, a big party, the kind where family shows up in full force. Laughter, food, prayers, dancing. Maya wore green, her favorite color. She looked radiant, whole, ready for the next chapter. That next chapter was supposed to include marriage. She was engaged, proudly so. And her Snapchat story from that night? Pure joy. She was finally winning. Finally stepping into the life she'd worked so hard to build. But someone else was watching. Not with admiration, not with love, with resentment. Someone who couldn't let go. Someone who saw Maya's happiness and didn't see joy. They saw betrayal. While Maya was dreaming of dresses, booking venues, tasting cakes, someone else was plotting. Not a celebration, but something far darker. What Maya didn't know was that her joy had become someone else's obsession, an obsession masked as silence, a storm building just beneath the surface, until one day it struck, and everything changed.
North Charleston police say that a woman has turned herself in for a July shooting that left one person dead. 39-year-old Kaisha Simmons Birch has been charged with manslaughter and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. This is in connection to the shooting at the Bloom Room on July 28th that killed 30-year-old Maya Jennifer Simmons. North Charleston police found Simmons shot. She later died at the hospital. Birch turned herself in today and has been booked into the Al Cannon Detention Center.
Every story has a shadow. And in Maya's story, it came in the form of a woman named Kaisha Simmons Birch, a name that would soon be burned into headlines and grief. Kaisha Birch wasn't just a stranger lurking in the background. She was part of Maya's fiancé's past, a chapter Maya likely knew about, but maybe underestimated. What no one can say for sure is whether that past was ever truly closed. Did Kaisha move on? Or did she quietly cling to the belief that she still had a claim to him, to the life Maya was now building, to the future that, in Kaisha's mind, was stolen from her? Whatever the truth, the next chapter would be written in violence. By the time Maya entered the picture, he had moved on. He'd chosen love, chosen Maya, but Kaisha hadn't. Friends would later say jealousy simmered beneath the surface, that Kaisha was still watching, tracking Maya's life, her success, her children, her engagement, from a distance, and letting the resentment rot. Obsession doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, in midnight scrolling, in watching joy you no longer have, in rewriting the past until it justifies the unthinkable. Kaisha wasn't waiting to heal. She was waiting to strike. In forensic psychology, we call it attachment rage, the inability to accept that someone has moved on, especially when it threatens one's sense of self-worth. It's not just heartbreak, it's identity collapse. And some people respond with emotional devastation, others with violence. Kaisha had no criminal record. She was a mother of 3, a woman who on the surface didn't seem dangerous. But when your inner world begins to shatter, when jealousy turns into delusion, even a quiet past can combust in a single, irreversible moment. There's still debate about what Kaisha truly believed. Did she think she was protecting something or punishing someone? Was it love? Was it control? Or just a refusal to be erased from the story? What is certain is that she watched. She saw the posts. She saw the joy, the glow, the ring. And instead of walking away, she made a choice, not to heal, not to let go, but to confront it. Jealousy is rarely just about love lost. It's not always about the person who moved on. It's about the person left behind and what they feel slipping through their fingers. Sometimes it's not about heartbreak. It's about power, about control, about proving a point. If I can't have peace, no one else will either. Confrontation. When envy lingers, it whispers. But when envy festers, it screams. And sometimes it crosses a line that can't be uncrossed, a moment that can't be taken back, a decision that echoes forever. When envy crosses a line, what comes after can be irreversible. It was a warm July evening in North Charleston, the kind of night where the air clings to your skin, thick with heat, thicker with feeling. Laughter drifted from half-cracked bar doors. Music pulsed, but softer now. The night was winding down. The Bloom Room was settling into its hush, that soft, quiet stretch between celebration and sleep. For Maya Jennifer Simmons, it was just a moment to breathe, to pause, to feel alive in the glow of everything she'd built. But peace can be fragile, and sometimes it only takes a second to shatter everything. Every city has a place like it. Low lights, smooth beats, the subtle promise of escape. The Bloom Room Lounge wasn't Maya's escape from life. It was her pause button. A place where, for a few hours, she could just be Maya. Not the entrepreneur juggling invoices. Not the mother of 8 balancing bedtime and breakfast. Not the fiancé planning a wedding. Just a woman exhaling. A woman breathing out the weight of a long week and soaking in the music, the moment, the glow. But in that pause, someone else pressed play. It was the night of July 27, 2023. North Charleston's humidity still clung to the sidewalks like sweat. Inside, the Bloom Room pulsed with life. Drinks clinked. Laughter rose above the music. Patrons swayed to the rhythm, conversations melting into the warmth of the night. Maya arrived in her usual effortless style, composed, elegant, radiant. This wasn't just another night out. It was celebration. She had just turned 30. She was engaged. She was thriving. This night was part of that new chapter, a toast to love, to success, to the promise of tomorrow. But what Maya didn't know was that someone else had entered the room, and they weren't there to celebrate. Enter Kaisha Simmons Birch. Kaisha, her ex's former partner, had shown up too, but unlike Maya, she didn't post a selfie. She didn't laugh. She didn't dance. Witnesses would later say Kaisha seemed agitated. Her energy didn't match the room. She wasn't there for the music. She wasn't there for the vibe. She was watching. No words passed between them, no public altercation, just silence. But silence can be louder than shouting, because real tension doesn't need to be heard. It simmers, it watches, it waits. Around 2 a.m., Maya left the lounge. Maybe she was texting her fiancé, maybe checking on her kids, or maybe she just wanted a breath of quiet before heading home. The parking lot was still. Streetlights stretched shadows across the asphalt. And then, Kaisha followed. This wasn't a coincidence. This was confrontation. But Maya didn't know she was walking into a trap. What happened next unraveled in under a minute. Witnesses nearby heard shouting, not long, just enough to know something was wrong. Then came the shot. A single devastating shot to the chest. And in that instant, the celebration, the laughter, the promise of tomorrow was gone.
What's that? Just the emergency. Hi, I'm at the corner.
Bystanders rushed to help. Phones dialed 911. Cries cut through the thick summer night. Paramedics arrived fast, but not fast enough. Maya Jennifer Simmons, a mother, a bride-to-be, a woman who had already overcome more than most, was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the hospital. She didn't see it coming. No one did. Not her family, not her fiancé, not her children, not even Maya. Her light was stolen in an instant.
North Charleston police say that a woman has turned herself in for a July shooting that left one person dead. 39-year-old Kaisha Simmons Birch has been charged with manslaughter and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. This is in connection to the shooting at the Bloom Room on July 28th that killed 30-year-old Maya Jennifer Simmons. North Charleston police found Simmons shot. She later died at the hospital. Birch turned herself in today and has been booked to the Al Cannon Detention Center.
The bullet struck Maya in the chest. A clean shot, deliberate, fatal. Maya fell. She hit the pavement as her blood pooled beneath her. The sounds of nightlife, once casual and carefree, were now drowned in screams. One witness rushed to her side. Another dialed 911. Frantic hands pressed against the wound, begging for a miracle, but it never came. In the days that followed, Kaisha claimed self-defense, that Maya had charged her, that she feared for her life, that the shooting was justified. But Maya's family and everyone who knew her rejected that claim outright. They knew Maya, they knew her temperament, her heart, and they knew without a doubt she was not the threat.
Maya Jennifer couldn't kill you with her hands. She didn't have a gun. It's not self-defense. It's not stand your ground.
It took less than 30 seconds for envy to become action and for a life to be stolen forever.
She put a post up the night before she went out on Snap, and it said, "Time is short." You know, I think we all should take a lot more pictures and stuff and memories and stuff, because you just never know. And just hours later, she was killed. When she walked in the room, it lit up. Because you know what? There's MJ. Our family is like this. She taught her children how precious God is. How that when you die, you go to heaven and God will take care of you. So her children, even though they're sad, they're like, Mommy's in heaven. She's in heaven with Dream.
July 28th was the day time froze for Maya Jennifer Simmons' family. Her grandmother, Jennifer Ferguson, had barely slept when the phone rang before sunrise. On the other end, a trembling voice, words she could barely process. Her knees gave out. Her body collapsed under the weight of the unthinkable. Her granddaughter, the one who carried her name, the one she had helped raise, was gone, murdered in the very city she had worked so hard to thrive in. That morning, Maya's children woke to a world that no longer had their mother in it. The younger ones didn't understand. They asked questions no one knew how to answer. The older ones said nothing. They just sat in silence, their eyes hollow, staring at a future that had shifted overnight. The house was the same, but everything inside it had changed. Maya's absence wasn't just in the big milestones. It was in the little things. The missing laugh at family dinners. The group texts left unread. The phone that buzzed at 2 a.m. for the last time. before it went silent forever. Her presence had been a rhythm, steady, constant, woven into every day. And now, that rhythm was gone. Grief isn't linear, it's jagged. Some days, they find themselves smiling at a memory, her laugh, her touch, the way she lit up a room. Other days, the weight is unbearable, and the only release is a scream buried deep into a pillow. This was not just a death, it was a rupture, a tear in the fabric of a family already frayed by too much loss. It wasn't only Maya's life that ended that night. It was the future she was building, and the sense of safety her family thought they still had. It doesn't always happen in a single moment. Sometimes it's a slow unraveling. Jealousy begins in silence. It lingers in the shadows. It studies. It waits. And then, it acts. Some call it heartbreak, but others know it as something far more dangerous. A mindset where affection twists into obsession, where love mutates into control, where forever is mistaken for possession. Psychologists call it emotional ownership, a dangerous illusion that another human being is yours to keep. And when that illusion shatters, what's left isn't grief, it's rage, unchecked, unfiltered, lethal. Ace stories rarely begin with a single trigger. They begin with patterns, constant surveillance, accidental encounters that aren't accidents at all, isolating behavior, cutting off support systems, obsession over social media posts, likes and pictures, and eventually, confrontation. Each of these steps is a signal, a flashing warning sign. But in Maya's case, those signals were missed or misunderstood until it was too late. What to Maya was a celebration of life, to someone else, it was a countdown. When Kaisha saw Maya living a life she no longer had access to, the jealousy metastasized, growing, festering, consuming. In the end, it was never about winning love back. It was about destruction, destroying the happiness she couldn't reclaim, destroying what she believed had been stolen from her. Behavioral analysts see it again and again. Obsession like this is never sudden. It builds, quietly, privately, layer by layer, thought by thought, until the person consumed by it believes there's only one way out. Love doesn't kill, but the fear of losing control can. And when that fear overrides empathy, something shifts. People stop seeing the human life in front of them, and instead, they see a threat. Lives don't end in gunfire. They end in silence. The silence that comes when red flags are ignored, when warning signs are brushed aside, until one day that silence explodes into headlines. But the bullets didn't just steal one life, they left another one behind. A nursery sits silent, a crib untouched. The soft pinks and greens remain folded neatly. A baby's world paused in time. Because the one who built it is never coming back. Maya's children lost more than a mother. They lost the rhythm of their days, the smile at morning drop-off, the late-night hugs, the gentle whisper that made the world feel safe when it grew too big. Psychologists warn that trauma doesn't need words to settle in. Children often carry it in ways they don't yet understand. Nightmares they can't describe. Emotional withdrawal, the haunting ache of something missing. Even as they grow, that early loss echoes. The tragedy wasn't only in the life that was taken. It lives in the quiet places, the empty chairs, the unanswered calls, the moments where her absence will echo forever. She lit up every room she entered. She loved without hesitation. She built a life out of faith, resilience, and determination. And then she was taken, not by fate, not by chance, but by someone who couldn't bear her joy. She lit up every room she entered. She loved without hesitation. She built a life out of faith, resilience, and determination. And then she was taken, not by fate, not by chance, but by someone who couldn't bear her joy. This wasn't just about jealousy. It was about a belief that love equals ownership, that losing someone means losing control. But when people mistake control for connection, when they confuse possession with love, the consequences aren't just painful, they're fatal. Subtle stalking, passive-aggressive messages, the warning signs that look like heartbreak but sound like threat. So often, these clues hide in plain sight, dismissed as drama, laughed off as just a breakup. But love isn't supposed to leave bruises, physical or emotional. Love doesn't silence, love doesn't stalk, and love doesn't kill. We can't bring Maya back, but we can listen harder, speak louder, act faster. Schools must teach emotional safety, not just physical. Communities must treat stalking and intimidation as threats, not just wait for violence. Lawmakers must close the gaps that let red flags slip through the cracks. Because remembering Maya isn't enough. Protecting the next Maya is the mission. If you or someone you know is experiencing control, threats, or emotional abuse, say something. Don't wait for it to get worse. No one deserves to feel trapped in their own life. If Maya's story moved you, speak up. Share this video, subscribe to Crime Gone Viral, and help us keep her light alive. Because stories like Maya's don't just need to be heard. They need to be felt, and they need to spark change.